Quest complete. Also, you may notice, in case you've been watching and continuity has been a thing, you may notice that it is now daytime. We took a little break last night between portions so that I could do some of the new raid content, and there'll be a separate video coming out of that and all the other shenanigans and all the other things that came out with this patch as well. But we took a little bit of a break, did some other stuff. Now we're coming back. That's why it's daytime now. If I did my job right, hopefully it's not too jarring. Hopefully your immersion has not been too broken. But thanks to the absolute power of film editing, we can all be Time Lords. Or Alexander. Just like cool robots with a bunch of goblins living inside of us. Some days I kind of feel like that's sort of a mood that does encapsulate some kind of component of my existence. Robot with goblins inside. Oh, actually first, let's talk to Estinine and Alphino. I don't know what possessed the Alligans to surround themselves with these chattering orbs, but the fact that they remain while their creators do not speaks volumes. They're durable. Sid and his colleagues always make operating these Allagan devices seem so easy. It's a little more roundabout, it turns out. No orb puns intended. The restrainment node stands poised to lend a hand. At least figuratively speaking, it got no hands. It's got one orb and 0 hands. Bloop. Guiding user to terminal. This way, please. For vengeance. I spent most of this morning just battling with tech issues from my computer, from Dropbox, from all sorts of stuff. Having to deal with technology issues in-game and then have the next quest be for vengeance feels truly like satisfying in a way that I really can't put to words. It's really more of just an emotional state that I'm currently experiencing. You know what, I actually think maybe we need to go down into that little bay, and then maybe they want us to actually go this way. I think they maybe want us to actually like go into this area. Maybe? No. No. Where are you? What do you want of me, map? We'll go to the other side. Don't look at me. This is a task for you and Alphino. I don't know shit. Access granted to user Valka de Aubigny and her adolescent Ellison companion. Master de Aubigny's other companion is deemed a potential risk to safe operation and has been denied access privileges until further notice. Why can I not help but imagine this particular restrainment node as being Janet from The Good Place? I am not a girl. This one might be a risk, though. This terminal appears to be similar to the one we encountered when we first set foot here. Let us hope it will be equally helpful. So long ago back in Heavensward. The Final Fantasy XIV expansion that's now included in the free trial where you can play up to level 60. Let's see. According to the terminal, the central control system is presently employing software version 5.6.135. Dare I ask which version you are employing? Why, software version 42.002, of course. Bloop, blip. Warning. Errors detected in the data management system. Estimated time required for update 5 years, 1 day. This is too real. This is too real to me right now. I got up, I was ready to do this run, like this whole playthrough, this next portion, at 10 a.m. this morning. I spent 3 hours waiting on updates. For some reason, Final Fantasy XIV uninstalled itself from my computer and had to be reinstalled. Dropbox took an hour and a half to sync. YouTube took 45 minutes to upload a new video. Look, normally, I wouldn't let my personal state just jump in here into the game while we're doing a voiced playthrough, but the sheer irony, fam, is so great that I just feel like maybe the universe was really helping me get in the mindset. They know that I love raid content and I love role-playing, so they were like, you know what, we're gonna give you hard mode of technology and then immersion mode for your role-playing. And right now, I am living it. I am living the fantasy. Or the reality, I guess. That is rather longer than we were hoping. Aren't there any other options? For instance, using this terminal to operate Tiamat's restraints instead? Bloop. The proposed method is indeed an option. Please be warned, however, that the procedure may have changed as a result of the system update, and my instructions may no longer be accurate. Well, I can't imagine it will have changed all that much. As long as we pay due attention to any discrepancies, I dare say we shall be able to muddle our way through. Don't bother trying to explain. Just tell me if we've made any progress. I would say so, yes. It does, however, require that I remain here to operate the terminal. I shall inform you via link pearl once I am ready to release the shackles. It might be best if you left the spirit vessel with me. I may yet have use for it. Rest assured, I will be certain to return it to Grahatia once this is over. Just a little more work, and Tiamat will be free. But before we go any further, there is something I would know. When Tiamat and her kin fought against the Allegan Empire, both sides were but dancing to the tune of the Scions, and it was the same in Ishgard, where they stoked the fires of conflict between man and dragon from the shadows. All that the Scions touch turns to ash, and thus have you made it your mission to fight them. But there have been times where you tried to reach out to them instead, to find common ground. And so I must ask, what do you intend to do with Fandaniel? Will you try and reach out to him too? No, he's a dumb idiot fanny pack. All he's got stuffed in that fanny pack is nonsense and idiocy. But the fact that they put this line in makes me think that maybe he's one we can save. I mean, we already have Gaia. Do we need any more? Do we need any more pocket Tamagotchi Scions? Maybe, if they make me love him. Maybe. And I mean, fanny packs can be useful and good and multi-purpose. And they did start out with Emmett Selk, who is now my favorite. They did start out with him being a bit of a theatrical dramatist, if you will. A Shakespeare wannabe nerd boy. Maybe they'll make me love Fandaniel before this is all said and done. Oh boy, they've hit us with like triple the references here. This, if that fails, I'll remember him thinking about Emmett Selk. I'll wipe the smile off. After I've wiped the smile off of his face, it does feel like a bit of a Horsefant reference. But I think that I will do middle. I mean, yes, enemy or no, I want to understand. Yes, it's like, it's important to understand your enemies or your allies, or to find common ground if you can. Sometimes enemies become allies, you know how it goes. Okay. I will try, yes. And if that fails, I'll remember him. I see little point in reasoning with the wretch, or remembering him for that matter. But perhaps that is the difference between you and me. You see the good in people, even if it be but the faintest glimmer. I only hope you do not come to rue your benevolence. You think us unwise for viewing the world thus? Far from it. That has ever been your way, as I learned when we journeyed together with Iceheart. Yet the fact remains that there are some who view compassion as weakness to be exploited, and there may come a time when you extend the hand of friendship only to wish that you had dealt the killing blow. Which one of our friends is gonna kill us? I'm getting a lot of mixed signals in this whole cutscene. What if he betrays us? No, 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 no. Estinian is a good boy. He's gonna be one of the Scions. I'm a little bit worried though, because if I'm going through all the list of characters in my mind that do actually have some kind of like, who have we saved and who would we regret saving? I mean, Estinian, we definitely saved. You know, we fought through Nidhogg's rage. We tried to reclaim him even when he thought that he himself was lost. Fordola is another one, right? An enemy that we saw the goodness in. I mean, we did. We saw the complexity of her situation, and she herself has come round. Even if I don't know necessarily if we had quite as much of a moment with her, we did a little bit with some of that discussion in the cutscene where she asks about, like, how do you bear this kind of power, right? But I feel like we almost had a stronger kind of journey with that with Tsukuyomi and Tsuyu and everything that sort of happens there, where we, I think, get a real sense of, like, reconciliation with her, even though it's very tragic and a lot of very sad things happen. And persimmons make me sad inside now in a way I never expected. But, I'm trying to think of anybody else that we have currently that's sort of like a, we saved them, but they were an enemy, we saved them, but now they're an ally. I guess, Sid's ramen noodle hair boyfriend, who I've only seen 5,000 times in cutscenes, and Nero. And every time I'm just like, Sid's boyfriend? He's got ramen noodle hair, and his name is Nero. Nero's another one, and I've always been curious if, especially with like the Garly and stuff that's coming up, if he might be somebody who kind of plays a larger role, although he's been kind of an ambiguous figure. Gaius, that's another one, and with the Garleans being kind of, you know, maybe a little bit tempered or, you know, kind of brought into this indoctrination, that's another possibility. Okay, rambling aside, I feel like this conversation is very much, here, have some foreshadowing. And I'm curious how they might actually draw from this for maybe stuff that's gonna happen. Now that you're done rambling, Rook. So, save your mercy for those who deserve it. Everybody deserves mercy. I guess unless they really prove that they are terrible repeatedly and forever and will only abuse your mercy or trust. Well, we should be getting back to our task. If Alphino has things in hand here, I suggest we rejoin the others. Don't die to some kind of crazy experiment that's just wandering around out here and is hungry for little Elizin boys. Bye, Alphino. I cannot deny the logic in Estinian's argument. Given all that is at stake, even the slightest lapse in judgment could be the undoing of us all. Blip bloop. Warning. Releasing dragon restraints may result in specimen loss, damage to facilities, and incineration of staff. Well, we don't want that now, do we? I don't think Tiamat is gonna turn us into a toasty s'more. But would that be a radical and surprising twist to this whole plot? Yes. For Endwalker, you have to make a whole new character. You took a risk, and Tiamat did barbecue you. And, you know, the foreshadowing had immediate payoff as to an ally you might regret unleashing. Oh, don't make Tiamat a bad person / dragon / scalekin. Please don't make me regret setting her free. She's been living with regrets long enough. She does not need to become my personal regret. I was already sad enough that we just left her here. Please let her be free. Okay. Now we gotta wait just a second so that the quest giver can spawn in, as we need to usually do. Haha! So the spirit vessel proved useful after all. Excellent. If this Daniel truly is without reason or creed, he is no better than a rabid dog. Treat with him if you must, but be ready to do what is necessary. We gotta kill Fanny Pack before the patch cycle is done? Estinian told me all as well, but nothing more. Honestly, it's like getting blood out of a stone with him. I take it from Alphino's absence that he's needed elsewhere? He's playing IT. He's playing the new support class that's coming out next expansion, which we thought was Sage, but it's actually just IT. It's like Sage Squad. Like Geek Squad, but for sages. Well, that all sounds rather frustrating, but you got there in the end. While you were off talking to Nodes, Graha and I were learning as much as we could about Tiamat's condition. Girl, it was frustrating, but we did make it. Thank you. Final Fantasy XIV, thank you for supporting me all the time in everything, giving me hope for the future and a sense of relief after my own technical struggles. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. Our readings confirm that her ethereal balance leans strongly towards the umbral, as was the case with the kobolds. Therefore, all other things being equal, the treatment should work. I was literally, as we sort of approached here, I was literally wondering if, I was thinking to myself as we kind of flew up, which I didn't voice, but now I will. I went, oh, it's interesting that Tiamat looks so much like Nidhogg. In particular, my exact thought was, they have the same butt swirlies. They got little swirlies on their butts. And she has a lot of other traits that do make her look more like Nidhogg. So it's interesting to me because if you compare them to Hraesvelgr, right? Hraesvelgr is very light, very bright, furry, kind of looks like the dragon from Neverending Story, which is always a good look, which makes you want to snuggle all the time, even though Hraesvelgr is very tsundere. But very standoffish and not all about that snuggle life. It is interesting that Nidhogg and Tiamat both, like, in their rage and their grief and these more, like, active energies and or, you know, trying to do something, right? Trying to get vengeance, trying to reclaim something like her lost love, trying to free her people, but accidentally enslaving them. All of these more, like, active energies they embody, and that kind of dark appearance on them is fascinating. And then, in contrast, you have Hraesvelgr, who not only ate Shiva, which we don't actually know if the original Shiva was maybe more ice aspected, or if that's just something that's kind of come to be embodied with her, or because of maybe even something to do with, gosh, Halone, who has a bit of that kind of vibe and ice aspect. Or if it's just kind of how Ysael envisioned her and, like, gave her powers when she herself kind of became a primal. But all of that said, Hraesvelgr is much more passive. Hraesvelgr has done nothing. Hraesvelgr has sat back and done nothing and remained isolated. So for his appearance to almost be perhaps more leaning towards that astral, that passive, that light, it's really... It gives me so many thoughts about the kin. We know a little bit, if anybody's done the L2 quests, that dragons do seem to have, like, the ability, and with Midgardsormr and stuff like that, right? They almost seem to have the ability to change their appearance or to develop in certain ways based off of how either, like, their circumstances or their age or their ethereal power or their eyebubs or whatever it is, they seem to be able to do and manipulate it. Midgardsormr can seem to change his shape in various ways. Even Nidhogg merged, using the power of the eyes, merged with Estinian and created that almost like fusion half form. I'm just a big nerd for dragon lore, everybody. So apologies for this quick diversion. You know us, we have some TED Talks in our playthroughs, but I really like that they are kind of clarifying some of that and also clarifying some of the things. I mean, maybe clarifying. But they seem to be kind of building on that lore as they have built out some of the lore even about Aether and kind of changed some of our understanding of it, which is good. It's not too midichlorian for me yet. Not too nitpicky. It still feels like we're just getting good clarification. Okay. Let's continue. The difficulty lies in the sheer quantity of aether with which we must contend. Multiple applications of the treatment will inevitably be required if we are to reverse the effects of the tempering completely. Meaning I'll need all the aether I can get. Thank you in advance. Although this endeavor will ask much of us, we do have one reason to be optimistic. Namely, that Tiamat shows no signs of fanatical devotion, suggesting a milder case of tempering than that suffered by the kobolds. Tiamat saw Bahamut as an equal rather than a god. Might that have made a difference? Now that you mention it, it very well might. She would not have believed it necessary to defer to his will. But enough talk. It's time to put our theories to the proof. Tell Alphino to disengage the restraint's ethereal dampers. Let's hope this doesn't go terribly wrong. I'm counting on you, Angelo. In the trailer, we were riding on her back. I can only assume that this succeeds. Ah, such warmth. The frost that shroudeth my soul doth begin to thaw. But what are these? Visions of days long forgotten, of war with the men of Alleg. Wherefore do such baleful memories return to me now? Could it be that the process of restoring her soul to its pre-tempered state is awakening ancient memories? Or might the opposite be true? If so, by helping her to recall the past, we may be able to speed her recovery. Valka, she trusts you. Speak to her. Ask her to tell you of times past. Or like Echo? The ancient Allegan, everything, and Meracydia have long been personal subjects of fascination, along with the War of the Magi, which I just think is so cool. I'm very excited about more lore. Okay, tell me of your war with the Allegs. Wicked, bloodthirsty creatures. Not content with their own lands, they brought fire and death to Meracydia, our home. Flashback, flashback, flashback. The tale began when Bahamut and I left our father's side. We took wing in search of a place to make our eyrie. Beyond the southern ocean, we discovered a lush and fertile land. It would come to be known as Meracydia by the children of men, though many years were to pass before they crossed the seas. Meracydia lore? Does this mean we're going to Meracydia? Because this timing seems surprising, but also very measured. Babies! Oh, look at their little babies! It's my dream to be just, I don't know, maybe covered in dragonettes. Maybe I think that's really what my dream is, and I really hope one day that they, A, release a really perfectly detailed dragonette plush, please, 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 and thank you, so I can buy 50 of them and cover myself in them. Or B, that, like, best case scenario, I get transported into some kind of alter dimension that is Final Fantasy XIV, and then I can actually have real dragonettes all over me. Either one, I'll take it, you know? people of the forest kin to the trees. Viera? It could be another tribe, but it would be really interesting. It'd be really interesting if they took us, you know, again, to either more Viera stuff or more Hrothgar stuff. Who knows? Upon our arrival, we were welcomed by the peaceful people of the forest, kin to the trees. Surrounded by nature's bounty, Bahamut and I found a place to raise our young. Fascinating. This correlates with the writings of the Shalayan scholar Rurusha. She posits that man first settled on the southern continent towards the end of the Second Astral Era. Correctly, it would appear. Oh, if only she were with us to hear the tale from Tiamat herself. Again, Angelo. And the, melody they've put underlying it with the dragon song and Heavensward music. This is all very good. This is all more than I ever hoped for. When first the children of man arrived on our shores, no foot did they set in those places over which we held dominion. Such was their fear of dragonkind. And as they kept their distance, so did we let them be. Yet, as the days went by, ship after ship appeared on the horizon, bearing ever more of their brethren, who divided the vast land amongst themselves. For a time, they knew peace and prosperity. But as their numbers grew, the smaller their share came to seem, and soon they began to covet the territory of their fellows. Ere long, man fought man. Blood was answered with blood, and none could see an end to the strife. Until one day, they came to us. Recognizing our wisdom, they entreated us to intercede in their conflicts. Bahamut agreed, and with him presiding over the affairs of men, the land knew peace once more. But then bad stuff happened. I was just gonna say, but that's not, but how did, but he died though, for sure. Alas, those golden days of harmony too were fated to end. For the men of Alig slew my beloved, and I, in my rage and sorrow, heeded the envenomed words of the Scions. The rest thou knowest only too well. Are you okay? Do you need a juice box? But your tale doesn't have to end there. When you are free, we'll rid the world of the Scions together, and you and your beloved will have justice. Fine sentiments, but you're almost spent. I'll keep watch from above. If the treatment fails, run. He's like, I'm just gonna perch somewhere like an awkward bat, and I'll be keeping an eye out on you. Ugh. Thanks for the vote of confidence. I swear, when this is over... Keep going, Alice. The magic is working. Graha's over here like, you can do it. Believe in yourself. Estinian's like, well, if you mess this up, I will be up there. I suggest you run. as fast as your tiny little legs can carry you. Laughably short, small. You're not even a dragoon. Red mages, what can they do? Backflip? Okay, great. I can jump into outer space, basically. It's cute. It's cute what you do. It's like, alright, Estinian. Guess, okay, good to know. Slowly but surely, the magic is working, aided no doubt by the memories you bade her share. Well, I knew this wasn't going to be easy. No patient could have prepared me for treating a great worm. But we're close. I can feel it. And while I've only got a few more drops of aether left to give, with yours and Graha's, this will work. Then I believe I speak for both of us when I say that you may take as much as you require. Careful, I might hold you to that. All right, here I go. And then everything went off without a hitch, and it was all good, and everyone was happy, and Tiamat was a friend, and we rode her to Meracydia. I had to get a little funky with the beat there. When in doubt, just sing your fears, and then you just don't feel quite as afraid of them anymore. Maybe I grew up watching too many Disney movies. and musicals? And musical Disney movies. Oh. Oh. That's fine. Come on, you little pig! You're ridiculous, but I believe in you! Okay, he's not that far away.
I'm almost there.
I thought he was like all the way up on top of one of the crystals or something. We got you. We got you. I don't want to brag, but like Graha and I, we're pretty strong. You should be all right, girl.
This is it, Angelo.
Free that dragon! Free that dragon! She's only been waiting like how many thousands of years? Also, just huge props to the voice actors for Tiamat, who somehow manages to convey emotion even doing the like very drawn out fantasy language of the dragons, which I just appreciate so much. Great job. Props to you. You did it.
Did it work?
Seems like it.
We won't know for certain until the shackles are removed.
That's a pretty spooky bet right here. A little nerve-wracking. You ready to jump in if you need? All right. Gosh, she's so majestic. Look at her beautiful dragon face. We go save the dragons. We go save everybody.
Many have been subjected to the Allagan's dark arts. Their flesh irrevocably altered. For such tortured souls, I fear there can be no salvation.
Although it is interesting, because right now we only know a reversal based off of the Porxies and their capabilities, and again, for cases that didn't like actually ultimately completely irreversibly change the composition of aether of like a creature, right? But the great worms do have a source of aether beyond any mortal can, any spoken can, right? So maybe like, and they can shapeshift stuff themselves at least. So maybe I mean, maybe not. It's okay. You can't have a fix-all for everything, but still. Unkeen, like kid. Oh. And she's gonna save all of them. Oh, it's kind of amazing that she stayed like this for so long, right? Because until that technology was brought back, until these things happened, she wouldn't have been able to save them. I just realized that I got so caught up in the cutscenes and her voice acting that I wasn't actually translating. So here, let me jump in now. It's just so good, though. Better to die than live as a tool of evil. You too would wish this, I know. And I shall do as I must.
When that time comes, you won't be alone. We'll stand by you.
I'm just happy when people come together and lift each other up and support them while they have to kill their irreversibly magically tempered brethren. And okay, all right, okay.
Do it. And let's hope the treatment worked as it should.
Okay, all right, okay. This is fine. It's fine. It's fine. I've only been waiting for this for so long. It's fine. Oh, it's pretty too. Where she be? Oh, she's majestic as hell! That's a majestic dragon! I wish they would fix the dragon's horrible snaggle teeth problem. I wish they would. I love it if we get that texture upgrade. It's just, let's maybe rework some of those, but she's still beautiful and majestic, and I still love her. Snaggle teeth can be beautiful too. I'm taking 1 second just to cleanse the air of my own silliness and excitement. Here we go. Bahamut, my beloved. For vengeance and atonement, I rise.
By the gods!
I just have some feelings right now.
Urianger, your timing could not be better.
That was
Understood, we're on our way.
That was really good.
It's Bahamut. He's been sighted over Pagalthan.
Let's do this. Let's do this. I'm so ready. I've never been more ready.
He flies for the largest Amalja settlement in the region, at the head of a vast host, including dragons.
This is gonna be good.
Did you hear all that, Alphino? You'd best rejoin your comrades. I'll make my own way.
Why is it that, like, in anything, maybe this is why I feel such an affinity for birds, right? Or dragons or anything like that. It's just like that moment in any media or game when a creature, especially a massive creature, right? Like, takes wing. Even that first time in Avatar: The Last Airbender when Appa flies, some little part of my heart just flies with them. And it's so emotional and, like, Especially when I think so many things have been weighing us down, especially this past year with the pandemic and all that stuff. I mean, like, there's just no denying it, right? It feels like one thing piles on another, but then to, like, even just in these cutscenes have this moment where it's like, no matter what, no matter the shackles, no matter what's happened, we rise. Like, I think that's why it got me so much there for a second. It hit home, you know? And it's beautiful to see her finally free of that prison. Do you think the map's gonna reflect that? Is she gonna be gone if you've gotten to this point in the story? It's not like you could talk to her or anything. Past a lot of the story stuff. He doesn't need... Okay, I was like, you're gonna yeet yourself into space, or are you gonna actually fly on her? Because actually flying on her is a beautiful thing. They both rose from the ashes of their own destruction. They both did. Now they gonna fly together. I'll be fine. Plenty of time to recover on the airship. While I'm sure you're desperate to join Scions and Tiamat in battle, 'twould be wiser to gather the full strength of the Scions first. The foe we face demands no less. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. It's true. Woo! With Lunar Bahamut bound for Pagalthon, Grahatia is determined to call upon the aid of your fellow Scions. Sounds good. Friendship makes... a boat. Dang it, what is it? Friends make your dreams come true. The Scions help you defeat Lunar Bahamuts. You know, just the age-old sayings. I have already sent word to the others. We are to rendezvous in Ul'dah at the Hall of Flames. Let us collect Alphino and be on our way. Let's go find that one boy that we left out here in the ruins of Ozzy's Slaw, and then we'll depart. I'm glad they didn't forget him at least, because that would have been a real bummer. And are hilarious, depending on how everything turned out and Alphino responded to it. I could see Alice doing it as an intentional prank, which would be kind of funny. Cruel, maybe. Maybe cruel, but funny. By a happy coincidence, Kryle and I were in the process of concluding our inquiries when news reached us of Lunar Bahamut's return. There is much to discuss, but it will have to wait. Hopefully we don't have another, like, 5-minute loading screen. But you will have to wait. Now, I know some of you could do with a rest, but I'm sorry to say that Telepharoi have other plans. Pagalthon is already under siege. Happily, the Immortal Flames arrived just in time to join the defensive effort, with Marshal Tarupan at their head. Well now, given the failure of the peace negotiations, I was uncertain how the Sultanate would respond. 'Tis good to hear that Ul'dah has not abandoned the Amaljar. Abandoned them? Did we not profess to be their friends? I'm assuming that this is... Yeah, it is! This time I got it right! I was like, please tell me that's the Queen just chilling, wandering around, come to meet us. Your Grace! Marshal Tarupan had made provisions for such an exigency, and was ready to depart at a moment's notice. All that was required was the agreement of the Syndicate, each of whom voted in favor of the intervention. Business face. Nor is Ul'dah alone in its resolve. The other Alliance nations have likewise dispatched their troops to Pagalthon. Yet, even with our combined strength, we shall be sorely tested. For we face not only the might of the Imperial Legion, but Lunar Bahamut and his draconic horde beside. Tiamat's children. Fight as we may, victory is by no means assured. But not all of the omens are grim. Our forces report that despite their proximity to Lunar Bahamut, none of the Amuljars show any signs of tempering. Strange. What primal would turn down a chance to claim new thralls? Unless it is incapable of doing so. Primals are not wont to serve a master, Ascian or otherwise. It may well be that Lunar Bahamut differs in some fundamental manner from those we have previously encountered. If that were true, anyone could fight him, and Valka and others like her wouldn't have to shoulder the burden alone. Be that as it may, Lunar Bahamut remains an incalculably powerful foe, whom our soldiers will struggle to best through mere force of arms. With the aid of the Scions, however, I believe they will fare rather better, assuming, that is, you are ready to take to the field. An airship awaits you to bear you to the front. Pray set forth as soon as you are able. Friendship time. That's actually a really good point that I didn't even think about. With implementing something like the trust system large scale into, like, retroactively into content, yeah, it might be a little bit tough to justify various people or trusts that could be there for some of those fights. Although most of the actual sort of primal things are just the trials, right? I can't think of them doing something similar, any cases of them doing something kind of similar like they did with the Light Wardens in Shadowbringers, where they're kind of the final boss. I can't think of anything like that in A Realm Reborn, so it might not be a huge stumbling block. There might be a few cases, though. I, meanwhile, shall continue to coordinate our forces. Till next we meet, may the 12 bless and keep you. She grubs so much. I'm actually super proud of Nanamo. I was really surprised that some people seem to hate her. I think it's just, one, there's so much vitriol for Lalafels. I see you, I love you. You be your cute Popito self. I don't even care. Now, if you do have a mustache, you might be a supervillain. It's very possible, but I think there's still exceptions to be made. However, I do feel like Nanamo has had a really good journey, and although, yes, the retcon about her being alive, I think is something that does kind of undermine the entire stakes of that whole encounter that you have with the Scions as you flee and you transition into Heavensward. She still is an interesting character, and I think they've given her some good stuff, so I'm glad to see her actually, like, leading her nation, taking things in hand, actually trying to do something about the inequality and all sorts of things that were happening, and the refugees and the war effort, you know. It was kind of her to speak with us personally. You may be certain she has no shortage of other responsibilities. Well, I for one am inclined to do as Her Grace requests. Lest we forget, Arnvold and Fordola are in Pargolthan on reconnaissance. The sooner we save the day, the better their chances. Indeed. To the airship, then. This has to be it. This has to be dungeon time, right? I'm actually excited for this dungeon, which has not been the case like 100% of the time with some of the others. I mean, our recent dungeons have been pretty good, but I don't think there's been one yet that really has made me kind of go like, whoa, you know? I mean, yes, they're good. And that's not to say that a lot of times dungeons are going to be mind-blowing, right? The mechanics, the difficulty, it's not usually the mind-blowing component of it. But usually for me, a dungeon hits really well when the music, the concept, the story, the bosses, the like glimpse of action that's giving us all feel really cohesive and interesting and something that we maybe haven't seen before, or gives us just a little taste of a new environment and landscape to kind of work through that surprises us as we go. I like that. So, this one, even though it's set against a familiar backdrop, I'm actually pretty excited to see what they did with it, because I think they could get wild with some of this lunar stuff. I mean, they definitely could. They definitely could. Okay. Where's this next one? We need to go to the airship landing. Oh, boy. I think you can get there from the main aetherite. So let's try that. It's been a hot second since I had to go there. Aha! Yes, you can. Excellent, excellent, good. This saves us some time and energy. There's so many people here. What a rare sight. Lest thou wonder, I have attended to Thancred's ammunition and completed mine own preparations. Of course you have, because you're married. I trust thou canst say the same of thine. Try as I might, I cannot fathom why the Telophoroi would move to attack the Amaljar. If Fandaniel's objective is death and destruction, one of the city-states would surely have been a better target. No, they have some other agenda. One encompassing the recent abductions, perhaps? Do you think Estinian and Tiamat have already reached Pagalthon? Ah, but I should know better than to speculate on the whereabouts of the Azure Dragoon. Oh, forgive me. He's so cute. He's so cute with his history nerding and his, like, legendary heroic figure nerding. It's very adorable. I'm about to say something that might hurt. It kind of makes me feel like what we might have gotten if Horshafant had lived and somehow become a Scion. Graha will just step in and fill that hole in our hearts, yeah? And in our shields. It is not impossible that the Telophoroi redirected some of the troops stationed at the tower in the front line. If so, this may all turn out to have been, you know what, we're gonna retake this whole line. Because I had a very loud bus happen outside and then got distracted, wondering if it could be heard, and here we go. It is not impossible that the Telophoroi redirected some of the troops stationed at the tower to the front line. If so, this may all turn out to have been to Arnvold and Fodola's benefit. Given what we know, some or perhaps even all of the Imperial soldiers may have been tampered. If we can subdue them, we should be able to do something about that, but they would still see us as enemies even then. That said, they wouldn't be deaf to reason, which is better than nothing. So, the Telophoroi have constructed buildings capable of tampering, and primals which are not. What secrets are they hiding? I don't know, I guess we're gonna have to get in Fandaniel's fanny pack to find those secrets. We have to dig them right out. Greetings, we've been expecting you. But say the word and we shall depart for Pagalthon at once. Word. Okay, alright, here it is. Alright, well, as always, we'll see if we can get together some Burr fan members or some people who are online. We could also be a little wild and we could do this first run with NPCs. Which might actually be something we haven't done in the past with trusts for these kind of voiced playthroughs, but might actually be fun to try and catch their dialogue and things as we go through. We'll see. I usually just like doing new content with, I don't know, with people as it comes out and then going back later to do all the trust stuff, so. Let's get a party together.